a diplomatic account concerning Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has recently resurfaced, drawing significant attention within royal commentary circles. The narrative details an unusual late-night delivery reportedly orchestrated during an official overseas engagement. This claim originates from an individual formerly involved in British diplomatic affairs at the time of the event. The details of this incident have been reiterated in a new biography examining the life of Queen Elizabeth II. The aspect that has particularly captured public interest is not solely the nature of the delivered items, but the assertion that this acquisition became Andrew Mountbatten Windsor's primary focus. This focus reportedly occurred while he was undertaking duties represent Britain internationally. For many observers of royal activities, this incident aligns with a persistent pattern of shries that have long followed Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. These narratives frequently depict a perceived sense of entitlement, instances of awkward social interactions, and priorities that have often appeared diverge from public expectations regarding royal conduct. The renewed scrutiny now centres on this Hisric Hotel delivery, the eyewitness testimony, and another previously reported diplomatic incident. The account is featured in Robert Hardman's recent publication, Elizabeth II in Private, in Public. The inside Shry Mr. Hardman is recognised as a prominent author within British royal literary circles, frequently incorporating insights from sources within government, the royal household, and diplomatic spheres in his work. His biography cites the recollections of a British diplomat who was stationed in Moscow during one of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor's trade visits Russia. At the time of this particular visit, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor held the significant position of the UK's Special Representative for International Trade and Investment. This role carried considerable responsibility, involving the cultivation of international relationships, the promotion of British commercial interests, and the strengthening of global ties. However, according to the diplomat's recollection, a different matter appeared to command Andrew Mountbatten Windsor's attention. Mr. Hardman's text indicates that Andrew Mountbatten Windsor's paramount concern during this period was the procurement of a specific item. This item was identified as a fur hat. The account states that Andrew Mountbatten Windsor exhibited such concentrated effort on acquiring the appropriate fur hat that multiple selections were reportedly conveyed his hotel accommodation. The delivery of these hats occurred at a point late in the evening, precluding him from making a selection at that time. A specific detail from the diplomat's testimony has since garnered considerable public discussion. The diplomat asserted that the hats were brought by individuals described as very pretty shop assistants. This particular statement has transformed a curious anecdote in a widely reported satire. The inclusion of this detail has shifted the narrative beyond a simple shopping request. It has become another anecdotal point that prompts questions concerning judgment, the allocation of priorities, and overall conduct during an official engagement abroad. It is important to note that this account represents the personal recollection of one individual, as quoted in a biographical work. A formal response from the royal household regarding this specific shry has not been issued. Furthermore, the exact date of the overseas trip mentioned in the widely circulated extract has not been precisely identified. Nevertheless, the shry has rapidly disseminated, largely because its nature resonates with established public perceptions. This is not the singular diplomatic incident involving Andrew Mountbatten Windsor that has recently been brought back in public discourse. Sir Ivor Roberts, a former British ambassador to Italy, has previously shared his recollection of an uncomfortable encounter involving Andrew Mountbatten Windsor during a 2004 visit to Florence. Sir Ivor Roberts recounted an occasion when Andrew Mountbatten Windsor was introduced a member of the distinguished Schiaparelli family, a name associated with the Hisrical fashion house. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor reportedly responded this introduction by stating, "I've never heard of you." Sir Ivor Roberts subsequently characterised this remark as gratuitously rude. This particular comment holds significant weight due to its origin from a senior ambassador who provided the statement on the record. It did not emerge as an anonymous rumour, but as an experienced diplomat's public assessment that a line of appropriate conduct had been transgressed. These historical accounts are now receiving renewed scrutiny due to the considerable damage sustained by Andrew Mountbatten Windsor's public reputation in recent years. His formal royal duties were discontinued following the unfolding of the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. Concurrently, his military appointments were withdrawn, and his public appearances became infrequent. This series of events led a substantial alteration in his standing within the monarchy. Further extraordinary developments have also contributed this changed public perception. In February, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor was taken in custody by Thames Valley Police on suspicion of misconduct in public office. Reports indicated that he remained in custody for an 11-hour period, while officers conducted a search of his residence located on the Sandringhams estate. He was subsequently released from custody under investigation. Such a legal inquiry alone would maintain any public figure in the news cycle. However, these legal challenges have occurred alongside a highly publicised dispute concerning his residential arrangements. Earlier, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor was required vacate Royal Lodge, the 30-room Windsor property he had occupied for an extended period. Royal Lodge had become emblematic of his perceived reluctance to withdraw quietly from public life. Following his departure from Royal Lodge, he relocated Wood Farm, a significantly smaller and more private residence situated on the Sandringham estate in Norfolk. However, this move may not represent the final resolution of his housing situation. For a period, he demonstrated resistance, declining move from the temporary accommodation at Wood Farm, his designated permanent home, Marsh Farm. Royal author Robert Jobson recently commented on the condition of Marsh Farm, asserting that the property had been wrecked. He specifically criticised the addition of what he termed a Peaky Blinders caravan beside of the building. Mr. Jobson noted that the house had once possessed an appealing aesthetic, and he questioned the alterations that had been made it. Mr. Jobson further elaborated, stating that Andrew Mountbatten Windsor had been removed from Royal Lodge, dragging and screaming, and suggested that a similar pattern of resistance might recur concerning his complaints about Marsh Farm. Whether these statements constitute dramatic phrasing or genuine insider insights, they contribute a pre-existing public image held by many critics. This broader context explains why the Moscow Fur Hats Rye has resonated so strongly with the public. On the surface, it presents as a minor anecdote concerning a shopping request made at a hotel. However, when viewed within the wider narrative of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor's public life, it transforms in an additional component of a more extensive and complex picture. The depiction of a royal envoy on an overseas mission, seemingly prioritizing a personal acquisition delivered by beautiful shop assistants, is now connected with a senior ambassador publicly describing his conduct as rude. This is further linked ongoing disputes regarding his residency and repeated accounts detailing resistance change, concerns about status, and perceived privilege. For many, these disparate elements appear interconnected, forming part of a larger, evolving narrative concerning his public behaviour. There was a period when Andrew Mountbatten Windsor cultivated a distinctly different public image. His service in the Royal Navy during the Falklands War contributed a perception of him as confident and energetic. However, that portrayal now appears distant from current public understanding. Questions have arisen as whether that earlier image was ever an accurate representation or merely a public presentation. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor is currently maintaining a low profile at Marsh Farm. Nevertheless, sources indicate that he is experiencing considerable frustration. Behind the scenes, he is reportedly struggling to reconcile with his altered circumstances. His current residence is said to be afflicted by a persistent unpleasant odour and an intractable pest problem. He remains isolated, receiving no visitors, and his infrequent outings are typically subject to media coverage. Given the accumulation of these various accounts and developments, further information regarding Andrew Mountbatten Windsor's situation is anticipated. Today, even a Hisric Sry detailing a late-night delivery can command significant news attention, as the public no longer perceives such incidents as trivial. Instead, they are increasingly viewed as revealing of a broader character and conduct. These re-emerging narratives contribute a continuous re-evaluation of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor's public role and private affairs.